this is a layout that I started at my friend Stephanie's house. It's a little strange right now. I'm not entirely happy with it, but I'm going to walk you through what I've done so far, and then I'm going to try to embellish it in a way that I'm going to end up liking it a little bit better. Hopefully that's the plan. You know, I don't always like all of my layouts. Well, I mean, I like them all because once you spend a certain amount of time with a project, you know, there's always parts of it that you love. But there are some layouts that when I'm flipping through my scrapbook, I'm kind of like, oh, that's not quite as nice as all the other ones. But, you know, I think it's important that, you know, we try new things, and this is something I've never really done before. And then, you know, if I end up not liking this layout, what I will probably do is take a look at it and say, okay, well, what don't I like about it? So that the next time I try this kind of a concept of like a banner in the middle, and kind of, I wanted it to be very kind of plain and simple and not a whole lot, and kind of minimalist. And I really loved the variegated paper here that goes, the ombre effect from blue to green. And so I really wanted to do a layout that allowed that to really show, and so I didn't want to cover up a whole lot of the background, and that's why I chose this kind of a design. So what I did was I actually used Stephanie's sewing machine to go all the way around my layout for a bit of a sewn border, and then I took this vellum, this printed vellum from the flea market collection, and I cut it to fit my paper. It's quite crooked, isn't it? I was actually really careful about lining it up, but now I see that it's actually quite crooked. Oh well, it doesn't matter. And so I cut my paper, and then I cut my vellum so that it was kind of like gonna give a little bit of a mat, and then I sewed the whole thing down across the middle with three bunches of stitching, 3 lines of stitching. I added this little tag here that says awesome. It's a sticker from the My Mind's Eye cut and paste collection, and that's what this paper's from, and that's what this paper's from too. And this paper here is part of that. And what this is, the reason I ended up with some chevrons here is I had cut this too long, and so I cut off a little bit of it, and I cut off a little bit more, and I cut off a little bit more, and I wound up with these chevron shapes left over, and I thought, oh, I'll kind of incorporate those into the design. I think they're a little bit too big, like I think I might need to cut them down a little bit. But anyways, I outlined them in white pen using my Uniball, my Signo, oops. My Signo Uniball white gel pen, and I did that around this paper and also around the chevron pieces. I used these letter stickers that came in the kit. They're from Fancy Pants, and they're really, really pretty block letters, and they've got kind of like a mottled look to them, so they're not completely white and they're not completely cream. So I use those for my title, Aquarium. I don't know if I'm going to put like New England up here in smaller letters. I think that might actually add a little something to this. Anyways, I might put New England up here in smaller letters, and then I use some of those Teresa Collins sequins to just kind of like run a line here and run a line here. And now I'm stuck and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put you on fast forward and play around with this a little bit and see if I can come up with something that I'm going to like. So here I am just having a look at what I have picked out to go along with this layout, and I decided to layer these tags, these ormolu tags up there to just kind of soften up those chevrons a little bit. I pulled out my sewing drawer to grab some string or twine, or I wasn't sure what I was going to grab, but turns out I had this thread that's almost gone, so I'm going to try to use that up, or at least use some of it up. And that again will hopefully soften these chevrons a little bit. So you're not going to see me glue any of this down, but I thought I would at least share a tiny bit of the process of how I came to
the final product, which I'll show you in a few minutes. So I did pull out those enamel dots that came with the kit, and I added that hashtag as well. And I'm going to add the other flare badge, but you're not going to see me add it until you'll see it at the very end. So I wanted to put a stamp on that arrow, and that love, love, love fits almost perfectly. And in fact, I like that it doesn't fit perfectly, that I can kind of have it be kind of not quite fitting on the arrow. I'm going to cut journaling strips out of this paper.
Hi everybody, I just wanted to share with you my completed aquarium layout. I ended up adding the New England, the words New England for the title of the aquarium. I used Kelly Perky letter stickers for that, so those did not come from the kit. I also added a couple of ormolu tags that came in the kit here, just to kind of tone down and make it a little bit more interesting, to tone down the chevrons. That's what they are. It's early in the morning here, so bear with me while I remember what everything is called. So these are just 3 ormolu tags that I layered together. I put a little quote from my daughter, "Can we do the touch tank again?" Because that's like all that she wanted to do. She kept wanting to go back to the touch tank over and over again. That's this daughter here. This one was a little bit more reluctant to touch them, but she did become brave and touch them eventually. So I added this cluster here, which includes a bit of thread that I just put underneath of the labels, and I glued them down with glossy accents so that it would kind of attach the labels and the thread at the same time, except this one I pop dotted. I think I pop dotted this one too, so I just used the glossy accents under the fun, oops, sorry guys, under the fun tab. And then this is a Studio Calico bow that came in a previous kit. So I just pulled that out because I wanted something a little bit kind of different and interesting on this layout. I added the hashtag, which was a flare badge from this month's kit, and so it's from Ormolu. And I really like adding hashtags to my things just because it's kind of a reflection of current culture, and you know, I think there'll probably come a time when we'll look back on it and say, oh yeah, I remember when we used to use all those hashtags all the time. So, so anyways, I thought I would put that there and just kind of make it become part of the title. So the title is now hashtag New England Aquarium. Added the little enamel dots for a little bit of interest to that cluster, and then the rest of it I just kind of left the same, and these were already here. So I added these journaling strips, and what I did was I took a piece of paper, hang on, I'll get it for you. This is a piece of paper that came in a previous kit, and I can't remember who makes it, but I love this. Love, love, love. I love a diagonal stripe. And so I thought that the cream in it really matched with the cream in the title, and so I used it. I cut it so that there was a little tiny bit of the gray showing on both the top and the bottom, and then I just did my journaling in the middle, and it was already in strips because I just kind of cut it off the edge of this. And so I just did my journaling and glued it in place and put a little tiny punched heart that was just sitting on my table from, I punched these hearts just occasionally out of paper that I have, just so I've always got little tiny hearts on hand. And this is another flare badge that came in the kit, and this is another Ormolu tag that came in the kit. I used one of the kit stamps to stamp love, 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 and outlined the arrow and added some enamel dots. And that's all that I did for this layout. So even though when I first kind of had this layout partially completed at my friend's house, I didn't really care for it all that much. Now that I've added some things to it, it does look like I'm much more happy with it, and I really like that it has a different look to what most of my layouts look like, so that, you know, it's always nice to have some variation and to try something a little bit different. So thanks so much for watching this one, and take care and have a happy scrappy month.